text messages from Thomas to Meadows. Here's one of the texts, as quoted by the Washington Post, saying she's telling Meadows, listen to Rush Limbaugh, Mark Stein, Dan Bongino. So, Oliver Darcy, this is clearly an example of how right-wing media's influence caused a lot of people to get delusional about the election result.
Including people who should be smart enough to see through the lies that were pushed by this right-wing media machine. But clearly she was very influenced by this, and she's imploring others to listen to these talkers to get their news. Brian, I think this is also disturbing on another level, right? Because either Clarence Thomas believes the stuff that Ginny Thomas, his wife, is pushing, or even her husband, can't actually get through to her and tell her that these are lies that are being pushed by right-wing media organizations and they're not true. So either he believes it and isn't in agreement with her, or even he can't get past this right-wing media machine that is so potent and convince his wife of the truth.
Essie, do you see an imbalance of outrage this week on this story?
Listen, the outrage is warranted. We in conservative circles have known about Virginia Lamp Thomas's political leanings for decades. And the conflicts have been, questioned by everyone, including like Sean Hannity at one time questioned her conflict. The outrage is warranted. Those texts are very troubling. And we should be looking at whether Clarence Thomas knew or if that's a conflict. But listen, you don't have to look far to find a very similar story that was really ignored by the media and, in fact, called false over and over and over again, and that's the Hunter Biden laptop story. Hunter Biden is a relative of a very famous person, the way Ginny Thomas is a relative of a very powerful, famous person. And my Twitter feed is clogged with blue-check reporters who are instantly believing that there is some tie between Ginny and Clarence. And, the rush to dismiss Hunter as not a relevant story by lots of reporters, I think it's hard to ignore.
I wonder, Jane, do you have a reaction to that? Jane,
you ask me?
us?
Sorry,
yes.
the sound is a little bad here.
As an investigative reporter, do you look at the Hunter Biden story and say, there's a lot more to dig into here?
That Hunter Biden story is Hunter Biden is being investigated by the Justice Department and by the IRS, as I understand it at this point. And so it seems that there's no shortage of legal interest in Hunter Biden, and yet we have not seen that Ginny Thomas has been called by the January 6th committee because there's been such sensitivity about not calling a Supreme Court justice's wife. There's talk of subpoenaing her, but I would say, if anything, they've been, leaning over in the other direction in order not to take action on her because of the complicated issues that have to do with the three branches of government and one not wanting to interfere on the other.
Yes, but the legal interest in the Hunter Biden story would make the journalism interest, I think, even more warranted.
To raise it.
Yeah.
The other big Supreme Court story this week, of course, were the confirmation hearings. We can't move on from Ketanji Brown Jackson, even though she's likely to be confirmed, and some of this, felt anticlimactic. The news here, to me, Oliver, was watching these GOP senators come up with culture war arguments for the midterms, use them against Jackson, and then kind of felt to me like they were trying to get booked on Fox that night. Did it feel that way to you? Like,
definitely.
The hearing was like an audition to get on Hannity's show that night.
Right. And if you want to understand what Republican politicians, what motivates them, why they say the things they do, I think you just need to pay attention to the media ecosystem in which they operate in. And that media ecosystem rewards, culture war stuff and these viral moments inside these hearings. And so I think the goal, if you have someone like Ted Cruz or Josh Hawley, people with presidential ambitions perhaps, the goal is to say something that's going to get clipped on social media, go viral, and then get you invited on Sean Hannity's show to rally primary voters and to raise money. It's a very clear incentive structure here.
I mean, Republicans in Congress and folks on Fox had nothing on her. So they had to go to the literal bottom of the barrel to drag the racism, the sexism, the child porn sympathy. I will say on that aspect, the smear that she is sympathetic to possessors of child pornography, as Jesse Waters put it, to me that sounds a little like actual malice. That sounds a little like slander, because I can't think of like a worse thing to accuse someone of. So that'll be interesting to watch, because that was low even for these folks.
Interesting. And the banner here says the fan service model of political media. Have y'all heard of fan service? It's a Hollywood term. It's what a director of a movie does to make sure the fans are happy by adding in a happy scene with the characters, or having the 2 stars fall in love at the end. Like, it's fan service. And it feels to me like that's what these senators are doing. They are fan service. They're making sure that their fans are happy with their performance of these hearings, even though it really has nothing to do with getting her confirmed or not.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like they're very interested actually in probing her legal qualifications for the Supreme Court. It seems like they're interested, like you said, on getting on Hannity's program later and by saying things that are going to rally the Republican Party base.
Yeah, there is fan service on the left as well. This is not unique to the right. I think there's a lot of fan service happening in politics these days. And fan fiction, that's right. To the panel, thank you all very much. Oliver, please stick